Because I'm talking to my guru here. Talking to my guru over here. The teacher of all teachers. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Abraham, my next question for you is 12 months from now. 12 months from now, you jump into this, you start playing. What would you like to experience? And I would like to put it in real time. I'm experiencing this. I'd like to see this breakthrough, this breakthrough. What would you like to experience?
I would like to experience, and I'll say this in a proper sequence. Okay. Number one, I would like to experience more harmony in that first aspect of me communicating my experiences, which is what I feel is my calling, and have somewhat of a, I don't want to say a group, a group of people that I can safely feel that they're moved by something similar to what I'm moved by. I don't want to say, see, the word following doesn't do justice, but to have a few people around me that I can share this with, at least several, 3, 4, 5. And I have them at times, but then they, as I mentioned, then they dissipate. They fall off. So I want to find a way, maybe find people, meet those people, and also modify my approach so I don't have to push people away as I feel like I am maybe doing now. Also, hopefully, reestablish some connection with people that are closest to me, like my family. Also, again, to have more knowledge of how to be a better suited person to meet a woman. I don't want to say I want to meet a woman. That's too direct and that's too incorrect. I want to be as ready and as deserving to meet my future woman and have and create a family and have children. Clearly, the way I am, because I'm not there, that means I'm not ready. I may not be at the most appropriate place for how I feel. That could be. But bottom line is, if I'm not having what I'm having as you and I know, that means I'm not ready for it. Because we receive what we're ready for. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what I would like to accomplish.
Beautiful. So I'm going to communicate it back to you. Let me type this real quick.
That's it.
Okay. So I'm going to reinterpret it through my lens and then just to get the essence of it. So some of the things that is very important to you, Abraham, is one is being able to have the communication in your beingness and your words that's really received by those who are close to you. You're able to communicate that wisdom where it lands. They take it in, whether it's confronting or not. They receive it and they stay with you. They stay side by side, and it becomes a very real conversation that can be confronting and empowering. They also like to experience harmony in that communication and those experiences, so that when you speak, there's harmony within you, there's harmony in the communication, and harmony in the relationship. Because in that harmony, that masculine and feminine, life abounds. And you know that's somewhere that you get to really hone in on. Also, you like to be able to attract a group of people around you who can stand that level of communication. You trust their communication, they trust yours, and there's this, I call you trust team. You're a team of people you can trust, and they show up. They show up for the love, they show up for the conversation, and they show up to do life.
Yeah, basically do what you do.
Your
Absolutely.
It's a long-term play of family and love.
That is correct.
Those are the things that your spirit was attracted to, and that's why I'm here. It's like, I want to figure out how to create that.
Yes.
How about the 9%? What is it?
10. Maybe I should put the second and third together, because I don't want to, meeting my person is quite essential to me. On an evolutionary scale, that's number one. I'm here to procreate, and I better not forget that, because otherwise I get into a disfavor with Mother Evolution and Mother Nature, and I don't want to be in her disfavor. I want her to like me.
And so, I believe you've created, 4 children so far? How many children have you created so far?
So far 4, but we ain't stopping.
How many would you like to create?
As many as I reasonably, responsibly can. Not just to go and, no. I want to be responsible about it. I want to avoid, as much as I can, this situation. That's why it's quite a painstaking endeavor, and I'm approaching it as serious as I can be.
Okay.
While feeling the nature's calling, like the Bible says, live and multiply. That's why I am reproductive for a reason. It's not that he or she or whoever, the Mother Nature, forgot the vestigious function. Oh no. This is not even appendixes for a reason. So this is obviously there for a reason.
Yes.
I thought about this.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you want to make sure you honor your quota with Mother Nature.
She's my number one. She's my goddess. She's my ultimate. She's my mother. I mean, the one that created me. She's my goddess. She's in charge of the religion that I subscribe to. She's the goddess of that religion, and she's undisputed in my mind, or I think in any healthy living creature's mind, because we're all her sons and daughters.
Beautiful. So we've completed the first stage, which is clarifying your vision. Now, in that stage, there's one last piece. I want to take a look at our understanding of codependency. So you can take a look at it and see what resonates with you. And then we'll press on from there. Then we'll complete. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And we'll flow from there.
Flow from there. Хорошо говорит.
So, codependency. I love this definition. And this is all about context, Everything we do here, we constantly code and code over again. And keep refining the code until it just creates what we intend. So this is what Stacey shared with you. It's an addiction to taking care of others or working at the cost of yourself. So it's pretty much investing in others, and self goes backwards. And it's due to moral obligation and or feeling trapped by your responsibilities and values. So this sounds like something that you've been working on for a long time and healing, because I can tell you move more independent now. So when you read this, what comes up for you?
An addiction, let me read this out loud, that way I can hear it. An addiction to taking care of, it's codependency. An addiction to taking care of others or working at a cost of your health due to moral obligation and or feeling trapped by your responsibilities and values. I tell you how I feel this. I don't feel it's obligation. See, like for example, I'll give you a perfect example today. By the way, can you see me?
I can still see you. Can you see me?
I see you, but because I don't see myself, but that's okay, because I'm seeing the screen. That's fine. I spent several hours today speaking to people, and then I analyzed, and it's quite likely I should have not spoken to them for so long, though, especially with this one, because yes, it's like I am needy to as one of my teachers told me, to inflict good. I want to inflict the goodness on people. I want to cause goodness, force goodness on people, and then I get mad, I get upset, I get frustrated because they don't want to be inflicted goodness on. So I feel that it's been my, it's not a addiction. My loneliness creates a vacuum, which I naturally try to fill with activities, one of which is actually connecting with people. And since my connection is now my life and what I'm going through, I share that with people. It becomes sometimes overbearing because I feel it's my codependency on that. Not because I feel obligated, it's because I crave it. It's like a craving.
Ready? It's right here. It's called you value it. It's very important to you. That's a value. It's because it's one of your top values. So
it's like valuing cigarettes sometimes. You know, people value heroin. It's not very valuable.
So, well said. I'm going to press on. Watch this. The antidote to codependency is this. Watch this definition. It's self-trust. And it's not in the way that most people see it. Abraham, it's a high level of integrity. That means what you say and what you do when it comes to really loving yourself. So we got to stay in the inquiry on what is it to truly love Abraham, and get feedback. What is it? Because you'll make stuff up, and you're like, nah, that's not loving. And it's like, okay, that's loving. So you understand it yourself. Other people that coaches and people understand how to love themselves can say, yeah, that's loving. And so now you have a high level say-do. You say it, you do it. From the conversations you have, the thoughts you have, the way you interact with people, correct? And then you set a standard. You're like, this is the level I'm going to stand at. This is the level I'm going to operate. And then over time, you stick to that standard. When you can do that over time, 2 to 3 years, then you have a high level of self-trust, according to this definition. So when you see this antidote, what comes up for you? What level do you feel?
I tell you this, I'm reading this,
1 to 10.
and let me tell you, I'm reading this, I'm having a hard time grasping this concept because it's not an easy concept to grasp, for me at least. I'm a pretty grasping type of person though. A high level of integrity, say-do, when it comes to loving yourself and honoring your personal standards. See, I think my standards in certain things that I have been doing in life, I have let them slide. So I've lowered my standards. I've allowed myself to do certain things, like for example, curse people or at people. That is not a way ideally the guru should be.
Well, some gurus curse. That's okay.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that you shouldn't. It's just the question is that what you stand for?
And
I wouldn't say you shouldn't. Is that what you want to stand for? That's
I tell you this because I want to be as intentful. I want to be as purposeful as possible. I don't want to become reflexive. I don't want to flip. A lot of what happens is because my emotions sometimes get the better of me, and I'm emotional, and I'll say emotionally, F this, F that, or F you, whatever. I won't carry the grudge. I won't hold the grudge for more than maybe 30 seconds or a minute. Well, but that by then the person is gone and blocked herself. So, and then I say, I flipped. Did I mean to? I didn't do it on purpose. It's because my emotions got the better of me. Because and you know what? In a way, like today with this guy, good example. It just happened. He robbed me a few ways. He's a beautiful, very intelligent, 68-year-old, prolific gentleman from Venezuela, Jewish, very, very knowledgeable, and he had enough of neuroplasticity to get this type of conversation, to subconscious. Like the guy, I took him places he never been, and it was tough. So then I got a little sometimes flamboyant, and he was like, "Whoa, okay, well, it is tough." So, but then we hugged it out, and he's a mensch. But well, it's easy. He's a mensch. He's truly a mensch, and so it's easy to be to do things when you have a mensch next to you. It's not as easy if someone is less of a person than he. And then I don't like to feel impulsive, saying, "Oh, I flipped." I don't like to flip, even though it flips me. I spoke to my ex today. Hate to say ex. The tone raises so much cortisol. The cortisol is like galore. Adrenaline, my adrenals are like, whoa, that's a good workout right there. I'm feeling the wave of fury. And I go, and all the vocabulary in 2 languages, and I'm quite prolific with language. I let her know about the silicone and about her, that the worms coming out of her ears, and like I'm get graphic, because she's nasty, and in a very, very strategic. Oh yeah, are you back on your pills? You see, like that. See, that can flip a person coming from a source of this ridiculous, ludicrous parental alienation nonsense, as they say in textbooks. So she's the source of this. But anyway, it was an interesting 1.5 minutes. She hung up. I wonder why. But yet, I hope I answer your question. The standards I have, I want to. And you know what else? I tell you something else. The pride. Oh, I hate it because I feel it's a natural thing, because I studied this. Once you learn something that other people don't know, it's a natural thing to feel like you know more than they, and it comes out. It's a vice in all religions. Pridefulness in a conceited way is, in Christianity, is one of the vices. So I feel prideful, especially when people become that. If the person starts becoming arrogant, then I'll go triple arrogant than him. And again, that's not the way, and it's a trigger for me. So that's another thing. I have to work on that. Just don't let it rub me.
So what you're saying is that when you look at this definition, a high level of integrity, that means you're clear about what it takes and you stick to it. That means you're more responsive than reactive. You're like, yeah, I'm not quite there yet. My wisdom is, my knowledge is very high, but my emotions, they still get triggered. So I can't say I have a high level of integrity around it, because I'm aware of a lot more than I actually stick to. Because in certain situations, I'm going to react, and that's not my standard. My standard is to be equanimous, and I'm not quite there yet. So that's what I'm hearing you say.
Right, and the thing is, between me and you, personally, for example, you saw me yesterday, and I got a little bit frustrated. You saw that. I got a little anxious. That was it. But it's easy with you because you get me, and then we diffused it. You diffused it, and I hope I did too. Between me and you, I feel it's a very natural thing for someone who's in a position like me. In fact, I try to be quite friendly. What I feel, it's not serving the purpose, because people don't understand that I'm just a passionate person. I'm speaking passionately. Few people actually appreciate that. Very few say, you know what, you speak like you mean it. Oh yeah, I mean it. I'm fucking mad. So, but it's not serving it may not be serving my purpose as well as I'd like it to.
Okay. Got it. So what I'm hearing you say is that I appreciate my authenticity and my realness. At the same time, there's another experience I'm looking to have, and there's a conflict between my authenticity and my realness and the experience that I'm playing for.
Control. It's the control I lack when my mother says something, on my first wife. That rush of cortisol, adrenaline is like, whoa. And sometimes I hold it there, and I hold 30 seconds, 1 minute. Then it's even worse. So let me try to hold on, because it's just, and then I flip. No, well, it's not easy to take.
Yeah, I got it. So my question for you is, if you had to assess yourself, Abraham, 1 to 10, this definition of self-trust, a high level of integrity, and holding that standard, that means you're clear about what the standard is, and you're able to hold it no matter what the situation coming at you, no matter what the circumstance. What number would you give yourself right now in self-trust, and trusting yourself to be able to ride at the level that you're capable of?
It's such a dichotomous question, because in some areas, for example, I feel I'd say pretty up there, maybe 7, 8. I'd say I don't want to be too high on myself. Let's say 7, or maybe even 8. And some levels, I feel like I am as honest as anybody I know. Sometimes too honest. Sometimes honest in a destructive way. At the same time, certain things I do. For example, my YouTube channel. There was a video on that channel that caused my work to, for now, temporarily suspend me because of the claim that I was with an underage individual, which is alleged. This is Colombia, where age of consent is 14, and allegedly she was a week off of 18. So they blew it out of proportion. For 5 months I've been partially suspended. My boss loves me, so I still work in the office. But just to show you, for example, a wiser, maybe more pragmatic person would have just stopped this whole YouTube business and just be a bit more conventional. Me, I continue it, and I try to be more cognizant of the society. Then I ask myself, is it because I just want to be out there, or is it because I am a bit addicted to this YouTube myself? That's a codependency I have, because that's like my closest, in some ways it's the closest being. It's not a real being, but it's a field or an organism, not a living one, that I can talk to and I can share with people. For example, I can write a letter to my father, and so everyone sees it, and I have a video with him, because I have like a backlog of 6 months of videos from April where I'm just bashing poor guy, and I put that yesterday. I'm like, damn, that's hard, because I feel bad. Now he's not here, but you say, you know what, and I wrote a loving letter, said, Dad, I love you. We had this argument, and I felt angry at the time, and I still do for that, but I love you, and that's a lot, and it's a very weird feeling to have to be there now, and now he's not here. It rips me, and I sing songs to him right there, and I dedicate. I said, Dad, I choke up, man. It's not easy, man, because it's just a lot. And I don't like to even be choking up. Like monkeys, they close, when they get emotional, they close their faces. They don't want other monkeys to see their weakness. But that's what my channel is for, because it's my vehicle, it's my path, so I can reach my children who see it. I reach my wife, who I sing a happy birthday song to a few months ago. That's deep for me. So yes, it is an addiction in a way, but it's a good one in a way too. So again, to answer your question, it's a very not dichotomous. It's a very it's just not one answer, because in certain areas I feel quite self-trusting and having a lot of integrity, but in some areas I wish to be a bit maybe more pragmatic and more society savvy, because society does not tolerate certain things.
Allow me to...
Sorry, man, I'm sorry. I get carried away. I apologize.
The way it spells is a high level of integrity when it comes to loving your higher self. It's a very specific statement. So when you say in different areas, it's very specific, saying, it's like Abraham sitting back and saying, what is truly loving to my higher self?
My higher self?
That means surrendering the ego, being in that love of higher self. What is that? And
well, let me tell you,
honoring those standards.
Am I getting this right? What you mean by self-trust, because it's a high level of integrity when it comes to loving yourself. The self that I know the most, that's me.
No, that's the ego, the big S, the infinite self. The big S is self, is the spirit.
Oh, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Is who you think you are, huh?
Dave, let me tell you something. Ready? I am in love with myself. Whoever that self is, I'm looking for it. I'm meeting many of me every day. I'm hoping to meet more of me, but I'm loving me as much as I've ever loved myself. Maybe too much. Maybe people call me narcissist. Oh yeah, but hopefully not. I tell people I still drink water. You see, he stopped drinking water. You know the story, right? He kept.
I know he looked at himself, but I didn't know he stopped drinking water.
So no, but the point was that he was so in love with his reflection from that lake from the pond. He couldn't drink because that would have stopped him from looking. So I'm still, see, look, I still got water right here. I'm drinking it.
So my thing, it looks like this. When you're truly loving yourself, you have integrity around you, there's more harmony. Because remember, that higher self is when you realize it's in all the reflections of the relationships around you. So you're literally seeing it, because everybody's just future, past, or present self. That's the big self, when you realize it's all connected. And you're very much in love with all that, and you have that harmony with a lot of things in your environment. So a lot of times you see it in your relationships with your kids, significant others, it's because it's in you. You realize it's all versions of you. Now, when you're not aware of that, then you think it's loving that egoic self, the things that we make up in the mind, and that's just small self. We all have it. But the big self is what I'm talking about. And then you create standards around how you operate in that connection and loving that higher self.
You're driving me crazy, man. You're driving me crazy, man. Because you say, you're speaking beautifully, but it can mean so many different things. I tell you this is my challenge. I found something in me that is so beautiful and so immensely limitless, which requires me to be as honest with myself as I can be, and yes, and admit certain shit about me that I don't find too flattering, but to learn to accept people, the closest ones especially, that not only don't want to even get what I'm saying, but they're conceited and lying and conniving, as again, maybe not on purpose, it's just their way of being. That I have a challenge with, because it's very difficult to accept people and not say, and just say, okay, yes, and smile, sure. Because if I say, like my brother, if I say one word, like, are you, like, what does that mean to you? Like, I could say like a little deeper phrase. He goes, whoa, you speaking that way again. I'm like, okay, take it easy. But it's extremely stressful. He says, you put an USB in me, downloading. I say, Eugene, you don't have to accept my programs. Just look at them and just because I'm afraid they're gonna get stuck in my system and my computer is gonna crash in a metaphorical way. But you see what I mean? It's a challenge. I feel like I love my newly found self, and I want to keep looking further into me, and even using certain techniques like breathing, for example, and other natural. I don't want to do anything like ayahuasca and all the other things. That's too far. But have people around me to at least have, well, this is quite a conversation, but at least have maybe 30% of this, what you and I are having. That's a challenge, to have a person like that around, to find a person, to meet a person like that.
So that's one form of feedback. Of course, the feedback is how you feel, or you're in your center. Another form of feedback is it will start reflecting more so in your conversations, interactions, because they're literally adjusting to your vibration, your deepest vibration. Not what you think, but who you're being. And so as you start lining and be fully integrous with what you understand about yourself, it'll do the work. You don't have to even worry about your words as much. You can trust that alignment, that it's gonna bring them into that vibration, and all of a sudden there's gonna be harmony in the relationship. So you can tell where we're at with it by the feedback you're getting. It's like, okay, they don't even know why they're acting that way half the time, but it's a direct correlation to their energy aligning with your energy.
So what does that mean? So let me ask you, what does that, see, for example, so if I have, again, people say, how you feel so elated when the shit is all over, you know, your life is full of shit. I said, well, I accept it for it needing to be there. And I thank heaven for giving me all this, as you say, shit. These are beautiful challenges. Hercules had 12 of those problems, but they were deeds. Now, how do I, and people told me how to actually approach this, is to let people be, and if they want to go, obviously let them go. Or if they in some way or other, like my dad, for example, and I love my dad, he was hurting me by not, at least I felt so, not being able to at least pick up the phone and speak to me one-to-one, because mother was always there. He didn't want to speak one-to-one because she was threatening him not to. And that hurt me because I said, Dad, let's just talk one-on-one normal. I come to New York, I fly, and they throw me out of the house, threatening police. Well, that's screwed up. My own mother said she's going to call police on me, which is exactly what that first did, my wife. They go in that whole path. Oh, they have nothing to threaten with. I'm going to call police. I said, what did I do? What police for what? I'm recording a video here. I'm talking to you. But you see what I mean? So, yes, you're right. I lose people, and that's not easy. And that's a path. I mean, again, that's maybe my path right now.
So, if I go back to the original question, what level would you assess yourself in self-trust? When that number is truly higher, then the conversation of losing people will shift. Whatever that is, it will shift. It'll calm down.
So does this mean if I'm losing? See, I'm not quite getting this whole self-trust. I trust what I do to be from my heart. I may be wrong, but I feel so because I speak from my heart. Now, the fact that I lose them, does that mean that something is not right in my approach? I doubt that's what this means.
No, that's not what it means. So what it's saying is that that big self is really your connection to the all. It's bigger than just you. It's your connection to the all. And that energy is so powerful that it connects everything. So when you're in that space, you can trust that it's going to create a lot more connections at a deeper level. It'll do the connection. You don't even have to do it. You just got to get out of the way.
Well, because the connections are not happening. So, but see, I'm in love with the way I am, and I want to be more sincere because it creates a beautiful peace of mind, and I think it gives me dopamine just to know that I'm completely wide open. Even on my YouTube, people see me for what I am, and I say how I feel. If there's sexual discussions, I speak, not hopefully to rub the society too much, but I try to be as open as I can feel. Now, the fact that people are not there, it's quite possible that I'm too high on myself or too self-centered or self-loving, because I need to be able to accommodate other people, and with their views, I guess. So
I would say this. Remember this, that it's always a level of connectivity to it. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is your level of connecting to that higher self? Because
I get it.
Connect to it, the result will be more of those relationships that you're.
So in that case, I should say it's a 7 or an 8. If you ask me for a 0 to 10, let me ask you, and please speak, because I mean you don't spare me anything, I hope. How do you feel, judging from your vintage, from your view? How does it seem to you? How self-trusting and how self-loving am I?
I would give you put in a lot of work. To answer you directly, I'd give you a 5 out of 10. I feel that you're right there about a 5. And what I'm picking up is, because I tell people, if you want to get into what's real, you need to bounce it off 3 things. Just because you can convince yourself that something is real and be way off. So your mind does not have the ability to discern truth. Your mind doesn't.
I got you.
It can make anything true. It's called imagination, vision, denial. It can make anything true. So how do you utilize that with the other 2 points? So you got how you feel, what resonates with you. That's the first thing. The next thing is you got to bounce it off some kind of data. Get some kind of measurement. Data is usually objective. If you can figure out a way to capture data, some kind of construct to get some numbers, then you can kind of see what's so. Okay, these are the numbers you're creating. And the third thing is get some professionals, some people you really trust, either close friends or professionals who understand how to read that data and understand what you're doing, whatever area that is, to give you feedback. So you can use those 3 things: professional or trustworthy feedback, data, and yourself. If all of that point in the same direction, you can bet that shit is real. That's the best way. It's kind of like a map.
I got you. I understand. No, these are pretty good. So
when you have 3 locations, then you can triangulate where you're at.
So I'll share this with you. So you said, well, I feel great. Let's say, for example, I feel a 9. Now, data, measurements. For example, Clearly, I'm by myself, 5 years, divorced, 44 relationships, all fail. People say, maybe you got to do something with yours. So, well, yeah, it's me. Of course it's not you. It has to do with me now. Kids don't talk to me. Ex don't talk to me. Friends block themselves. Mom blocked, semi-blocked. Dad left without saying anything. I couldn't say goodbye to him. There's a lot. My brother blocked himself. So data measurements are clearly that data is not in my favor now. I'm in a great shape. I am sleeping well. I'm eating once a day, intermittent fasting for 3 years, not drinking, not smoking, no meat, quite healthy, quite energetic. So that's positive. So you may be right. Maybe it's 5. Now, then I look at some professionals who could give me merit. So for example, Jesus. Let's talk about Jesus. Now, he felt great. He did miracles. But professionals crucified him. Now, that would make him fail this test. Buddha.
I would say, ready? Professionals or people he trusts, like people he trusts. So there's people that he trusts who affirmed who he is being. Like, man, you are the Messiah. Because he had people around him, out of his 12 disciples, some of those people really trusted him. Some turned on him, but some really trusted him.
One turned on, and by the way, he became so great is because of Judah. Had it not been for Judah, every knowledgeable person say Judah is what made him Jesus. Now, we all need an enemy, like Muhammad Ali and Frazier. Now, take any great person who has achieved some greatness. He was ostracized, criticized, and even sometimes not just killed, tortured. Socrates. Society does not take this lightly. What I'm saying is anti-social in so many ways. I can't expect professionals to honor or accept or even honor. I can't expect, because it takes another person of a vision to understand that what I'm saying is not just some ridiculous gibberish. It actually has certain substance. Society, I am anti-society, so how can society, with professionals that society created, how can it support me? It cannot.
Let's go back. Professionals, just meaning people you trust. So it might be a professional you hire, or it might be people around that you trust because they're able to create what you're looking to create. So you just get people that you can trust to say, give me feedback, because you're able to create what it is I'm looking to create. That's all. So it could be whoever, but you trust them. I'm not saying, if you don't trust them, then they're not going to be in your feedback realm.
You know who I trust? I tell you who I trust. I trust Jesus. And again, I don't mean him as a religious figure. I mean him as a human being. I trust Socrates. I trust Freud and Jung and Nietzsche, who talk a lot of shit. And that's why he was not only not popular, he was considered a menace by society.
I know you're saying society, but I wasn't there. But I believe they probably had some people around them, or like that gave them real feedback that they trusted.
You think so?
Know, but, all these men will have somebody around them. Men and women, you'll have somebody around you.
Right. Now, I'll give you a perfect example, because they did have some supporters. Van Gogh, Mozart, had zero affirmation. See, Van Gogh, a genius, one of the best artists that we know, the father of Impressionism, Vincent Van Gogh. He killed himself. Now, he felt great. He told people, I'm a genius. Oh, it's just you just painting like a kid. Now, he believed in himself. He sold one painting for $19. Cut his ear because he had a bad infection. Now, his measurements were horrible. He didn't do well at all. He was broke. He was mentally ill. He had a depression with manic depressive, just like me. By the way, I have a diagnosis. And professionals bashed him. And it took 50 years for the first painting to be recognized, and after that he's Van Gogh. Same as Mozart. So this scale that you use...
So let's go back to what it said now. I said if you want to see something that's real, bounce it off these 3 coordinates, and it's real. So if he didn't have those 3 coordinates in alignment, then it wasn't real to him at the time.
I'm sorry?
If he didn't have those three coordinates aligned, then he didn't get that reality at the time. In his world it was, but it didn't manifest in reality. Those are three things you need for it to manifest. It manifested 50 years later. Sometimes it doesn't manifest in your time.
So then how do we know what I'm doing is not going to be like him?
No, we don't know that. That's not what we're saying. We're saying, how do you get it into reality? That's all we're saying. We don't know what's going to happen 50 years later. How do we know that?
We don't know.
You're saying, I'm here to say, do you want the experience now?
I would love to. I would love to, but in certain ways. I tell you why I can't expect too much. Because if I am certain things that I proclaim are anti-social, anti-society. And if I am, this is what I want you to feel, because I may need to change the narrative a little bit to get the results. Now, if I am seeking results, approval, societal, in some shape or form, society cannot approve someone who's against it. It just doesn't work like that. It will automatically gear itself. And my job is a great example. They don't even know what's going on. They just feel something's weird with the guy. He talks weird. He's weird. So we don't need weird. So my boss laughs at that. He goes, they don't understand what you're telling them. Okay, well, we'll get where we get. It is unpleasant because financially I lost already maybe $80,000 in these 5 months. And I have records on my record that I'm a whatever, pedophilic, sex trafficking, crazy, whatever. But the bottom line is, I can't expect too much acceptance when I am speaking unacceptable things. For example, living with 2 women. That's crazy in this society. And that's just an example.
In what society?
In our Judeo-Christian paradigm that we...
Oh, Judeo? Okay, because I see people living with 2 women in this American society. In America? Absolutely.
Introduce me and show me how open they are living with 2, having children with them, having in-laws okay with... I read some interesting data on this. There's one family in Alabama. Oh, it's way easier to be gay than have 2 women. I've been ostracized at my job. I share a few things. I have gay friends. They're politically, we will LGBTQ, whatever that thing is, that we are supposed to be, and we are tolerant. When I mentioned, my boss says, stop talking, because people talk you're strange. I say, well, I am also a minority that way. But no, we're not ready for that. Again, that's why I would love to hear how you actually are succeeding in what you have, and all of your ladies actually know about each other.
Yeah.
And you have children. How many kids do you have, by the way? You got 3. With one or with all of them?
So the woman I was previously married to, I have 2, and the current woman I'm with, she has a child from another man. So it's a blended family. So we have 3 blended.
So you have 2 of your own and one that's like a stepson.
Correct. Stepdaughter.
I'm sorry, stepdaughter. God bless. God bless. But the other ones, you are completely open, but you don't live as a family, all of you, or you do?
I live with my significant other and 2 of them. One's in college, so my oldest daughter's in college already.
But I'm saying your other
2
ladies.
of my kids are in the household, so all 4 of us live in the household. So
You.
my other ladies are married, so they have their own husbands and kids.
And you have an intimate relationship with them as well.
Yes.
And the husbands are okay.
Absolutely.
That's great.
I can make love to them in front of them.
It's a badass. This is a badass.
There's levels to it.
Well, I'm gonna fly to you. I need to see you. This is badness, because I had a guru talking a lot of talk, and I like the guru. He's a great guy, but he's celibate for 10 years because he do ascetic stuff. I said, whoa, yeah, celibate. That's a monk. That's a Catholic priest who basically castrated himself for no reason.
Okay.
But I take my hat off to you, man. You are a capable young man. And look at you, and he's happy. I tell you, he's smiling. I love that.
Received.
Received.
So, yeah, there's a lot of possibilities, and a lot of times if you're not taught this or given permission to believe it, you'll be in the old narrative believing that that's only possible. So a lot of that's been shattered, and fortunately that was why God inspired me to create this technology, so that when people learn it, if that's natural for you to have two women, you can do it powerfully, have your career, have amazing families, and do great things, and speak honestly on YouTube about it. So that's this technology. I designed it where you could be you and have the feedback and have the affirmations from the women being next to you and life saying got it, because it's at the highest level. So fortunately I'm living at that level right now, and I'm just here to say it's possible. Yeah, it's going to take time.
Let me ask you something. Just so just so I understand this, do you feel, because just so I understand, how many students do you have in your school or in your program?
Thousands have come through, so at any given time we have several hundred coming through.
Okay, so you have several hundred students. Now, just a ballpark, two questions. How long is the basic course?
Let's go through it, because that's what I'm getting to next. We completed the codependency part, got into that a little bit, but I want to get into the course so you can see, because that's why you're here. You ready? Stand by. I'm going to share my screen with you. So this is going to be a 6-month program, okay?
6 months. I write it down.
To launch you into the game and get your feet wet, correct? It's like, the best way to see this is you're a vehicle, and what we're here to do is we're your pit crew. You're going around those laps of life, you pull off in that pit crew, your coaches go to work, give you feedback, teach you how to use the tools, sharpen that vehicle, it's a lot more powerful. You get on track, you go and kick butt. So in these 6 months, you'll have 4 coaches in your pit crew, and they'll work together to get past the ego. And our goal is to increase the self-confidence, increase the self-trust, and really help you identify where it's at. Because there's what you believe, and then there's what's real. So we're going to get into what's real, given the measurements, because we can measure this thing. So your first coach is going to be a one-on-one coach. That means you get on a call with them, you'll have 12 sessions in the 6 months, and each session will be 60 minutes long, you can record it, and they're going to help you convert this principle-centered code into the fitness, lifestyle, and consciousness. So the way we look at this game is we say there's 3 dimensions to this game that we're going to focus on. And our goal is to focus on integrating these 3 dimensions so you work this inside-out game. So right now, we're here. You live a more value-centered life. The things that are important to you are what you're using to fill the space in you. Whether it's family, YouTube, whatever, it's more outside in. We're going to take a look at this. We're going to turn the lens on this using health and fitness in a unique way. And we'll look at it very uniquely. We call it the 3 dimensions of the game. So we'll look at you as fitness, lifestyle, and consciousness. Fitness is movement. Lifestyle is what you put in, around, work, on your body. And consciousness is your code. It's like, how aware are you of the level in which you're connected to everyone and everything? So we're going to activate these things. And if they're already activated in your life, we're going to activate them with principle-centered code. We understand that code very well. Most people don't understand that code. So we're always asking, what's the principle-centered approach to this, this, and this? And that's what we're going to teach you. And we're going to help you connect it to your current beliefs and to your beliefs slowly evolve to a more principle-centered approach. I'm telling you right now, Abraham, when you go more principle-centered, things are going to shift. The principles are powerful and they govern everybody. Right now, you're a little more value-centered.
When you say this, and you know what, and I'm sorry, Dave, please, I'm not trying to, sorry to interrupt, because I was thinking, you said the same thing yesterday, and that's a judgment that obviously you're entitled to, whichever judgment you feel you have. When you say I have value-centered, now again, I lost all the things that I held or I deemed valuable, such as family. If you go back to the screen, I lost my family, effectively. And by the way, have you ever divorced yourself?
Have I divorced myself? I never divorced myself.
Oh,
I've not divorced myself.
No. Have you ever divorced your wife?
Okay. I did have a divorce. Yes, I had a divorce.
Oh, so you did lose. And did you have children with that woman?
Yes.
Oh, so you were married and you had how many kids with her?
2.
Those are your 2. Oh, right, you mentioned it. You have. So I'm sorry. So you have, because I was thinking it's no. So you're currently with the lady who has a child from a previous marriage as well. So you did lose, like I lost, you also lost. So that's losing family, significant others. In fact, I lost, except for my grandpa, I lost all of the significant others I had. And then work, guess what? I lost multiple works. And money, I lost it all. I went down negative 100,000. From a million, I went down. I even lost my Maserati, which I was happy to lose. I lost my house. I lost my friend again. I lost my lifestyle. So how am I value oriented when I was for a year and a half on the beach being a beach bum, and now I am again. Of course, there are some values, but if had I been a little bit more value oriented, I would have had a nice lady next to me right now, and I would just eat some stuff up and be a little bit quiet. Oh no! So I maybe I don't understand your judgment, but I don't feel myself to be that value oriented. I don't feel that. I'm too principled. I got principles, which may not be all that great. Maybe I have wrong principles or not the most effective principles. That could be. But I have, look at me, man, what's my value? I don't think value, how do you see me valuing value? In what way? Please explain that.
Okay. Let's look at the definition of value-centered versus principle-centered. So I'm going to make it larger. So I don't want to go into too much detail because this is part of the coaching.
Right.
Value-centered is believing that your self-worth and personal power comes from your net worth and positional power.
That's not me.
You feel powerful when those things are going well. You feel loved, you feel supported. It's more like outside in, or allowing your net worth, that means your network, anything outside of you, allowing that to be your moral compass and control your choices. So anything outside of you, if that's why you're making choices and that's why you keep doing what you're doing, then that's an outside in, and that's more value. You value those things and you're allowing it to control.
How is that describing me? I have done everything, quite a few things in these several years to basically lose all the valuable things I deemed valuable. As I mentioned, I lost them and I regained myself. In fact, from suicidal, depressed, I became quite much more harmonious, sleeping well, eating well. I lost my vodka. Let me show you. You think people say, oh, how do you manage? I say, I manage, I love it. In fact, my alcoholic is right here. Look, I got all the stuff in here. I got the moonshine for anybody who wants, but it's there, it's safely there. I got a liquor that a friend brought for me right there. Say, why you hold it there? Say, why I hold it? So maybe friends come, and I smell it. I got my breathalyzer that I do twice a day, and I go urinate and give blood and whatever. That's 2 more years of that. And by the way, losing alcohol, that's a big one because I love my drinking. Oh, don't touch that. That was a big one. And it took me a while to kind of like understand that my alcoholic needs to fall asleep and stay there, stay sleeping. So I lost that. That's a loss because I valued that a lot. My drink, I'm a Russian. Hey. And then I smoked a little bit. I did a little weed. I ate. So I now eat once a day. Even coffee I quit for 4 months. Now I'm back.
He's a now back.
I got 1 cup a day.
So it's a process that goes to the principle center, and I believe you're somewhere on that scale. The best way I can describe it is this. Look at this scale right here. It's pretty cool. I don't know where you're at, but I can tell you, I can feel it because I do it thousands of times. Look at it as a scale. We measure it. Imagine that you're somewhere on the scale between 0 and 100. Most people are about an 8 out of 100, and you don't know the measurement yet, but we'll measure it. It takes time. But as long as you're on this side of the scale, ready, you're more value-centered. If you can get over 50 on our scale, then we call it more principle-centered. So your game has to be very tight on understanding principles and aligning your life, your movement, and your thought to it. And just most people don't understand it well enough to get that high. So the average person is about 8 out of 50. And so, once again, we have a way of measuring. It's pretty cool, and you just have to see it to believe it.
Hold on, so 8 out of 50?
Measure what's called PC, performance capacity. and it's measuring those three dimensions. So we're measuring these three dimensions, fitness, lifestyle, and consciousness, in a very principle-centered way. So this is 20% of your power, that's it. Lifestyle is only 30% of your overall power, and consciousness is 50% of your power. And so when we do measure these numbers, it's going to give us a number out of 100. If you can score a 50 when you put all these together, a 51, then you're more principle-centered. You're somewhere on that spectrum. But if you're below 50, you're more value-centered. So I can tell you, from my experience, you wouldn't get above 50, so that's why I'm saying you're more value-centered. But I'm not saying you're not improving on it. You're moving towards it.
So when you say value-centered, so that means I'm clinging onto some value. What is that value that I'm clinging onto? Maybe I'm not on...
Okay, so right now, in your previous conversation, you mentioned on YouTube, you said, I use this because that is my outlet to connect to people. That's how I do this. It's like I have this relationship with it. It's kind of like that's giving you some sense of connection and worth. You get some kind of worth out of it. I see it because you keep doing it. It's like, that is how I get, that's what feeds me right now. That's what helps me, deal with this situation that I'm in. So I can tell there was a dependency on that to feed your emotions and your worth.
Just like you have with your wife. You have your wife.
So does that make sense when I say that?
Again, for me to denude myself and become completely like this guy, Diogenes, right? Who lived in a barrel?
I don't know that person.
Well, I'll introduce you to him. He was 2,500 years ago. Diogenes, he was a philosopher they call a cynic. He lived in, he specifically did what you're saying. He became principle-centered. He stripped himself of everything except for a little bowl that he used for food, and then he threw that out, and that was a big deal. He says, I don't even want to have that. There are paintings, Diogenes, because Michelangelo painted the guy, because he's a famous figure. So he was as principle-centered as principle. He followed a principle. He didn't need to do that. So my lawyer told me, if you're that principle, go and live in a barrel like Diogenes. You want to live in a nice place, you better listen to what I'm telling you and to the society, because it's giving you the opportunities. So how high do you think you score on this set?
I know you're attempting to put it together. Yeah, just going to take a little time to understand what this is really saying, because you can only put it together from what you understand right now, which is fine. But notice how you go from a codependent to independent to interdependent. You see, think about principles, Abraham, they serve everybody. Everybody wins in that kind of energy. So the more you learn how to align everything to it, it creates the magic. You'll start seeing it in your relationships with yourself, with others. You'll see it. It's going to be pretty miraculous. So those things that kind of elude you right now, those things that you're looking to experience, as you move towards principle-centered, you'll have it. You'll have everything that you're playing for.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you a question. Yourself. By the way, you could see me, right?
I can see you.
Can you, just for a second, can you make... Oh, okay. I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
Have you ever felt... Now, I don't know how you felt in your life. Have you ever been suicidal?
I've never been suicidal.
And you can teach me.
Never been suicidal.
You cannot take me... Now,
Have my energy been low enough where it's like you feel depressed? Yes. But I never said I'm about to end it.
No, not about... But you felt that you'd rather not wake up in the morning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, you see that...
I'm not saying I want to take myself out. That can happen. I've coached a lot of people who've been suicidal. A lot. I coach a lot of that.
So you see, again...
Every day, so. This
is what I feel a challenge when me and you discuss these things, because I start getting personal, and I don't mean to become negative toward you, because you challenge me. Yet I don't think you've been as high and as low as I. In some ways you may have been, but in some ways I don't think you've been there. So it's extremely challenging to to teach someone something that they did not experience and the other person already did. So you can, again, that's why you're coaches, and they're not superior to you because you're the best, I think, that you have. And clearly you're quite an interesting and a beautiful character. You're a beautiful person. I haven't met someone like you yet, and I meet many, many people, you're gifted. Clearly, you have a beautiful gift. No question. Having said that, there are certain places I've been that are quite dark. For example, my grandpa, he can talk to me because he's been in war, losing his best friends and his family, coming back at 20 years old, 21. That guy, I got nothing on him. Because when he talks, he starts talking, I feel that energy like, I better shut up. No matter Jung, Freud, I better shut up. Because he been there. Where I haven't been, nor will I don't think I'll ever be, because the circumstances probably may not be that way. So I have difficulty listening, trusting, people using big words, self-principle. Hey man, that shit hurts, man. It starts hurting. There ain't nothing principle value. The shit's ripping you, losing your children. You still have connection to your children, right?
Well, they were taken away from me, so I understand you.
You feel me?
Oh, they were taken away, all that. So
how long have you been without them?
No, I attracted them back. I figured out who to be. Yeah, I turned that thing around.
It doesn't work.
I turned it around.
Check this one. It sounds like a game. Hey man, it ain't turning shit around. That's why Ivan the Terrible killed his son. Ain't no. People get killed. This is it becomes my dad passed away. That's a big one. This is not This is deep as fuck. You did some politics, you did some diplomacy, but that shit hurt. Because at any moment they can betray you. And you know that. You gotta be at your best. And because certain things you don't want to say, maybe not. If you speak your mind the way I do, and you'll be truthful, but they may leave.
Are you open to my feedback?
Are you insinuating that I'm not?
It's hard to get feedback, so I'm asking, are you open to it?
Your question casts a shadow of doubt on my openness.
Are you open to my feedback? That's my only question. Yes or no? Keep it simple. Don't go too deep just yet. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I don't want to make light of what the work that I put in to be able to create this opportunity for my kids. As long as you understand how Michael Jordan approached football or Buddha approached sitting underneath that tree, that's the level I approach dealing with Dave. And so I don't want to make light of it because I'm being over here smiling with you. But you got to put in that work. You got to go deep. You're going to hit those fears and those dark places. And that surrender and that work, the breakthrough and surrender and asking God, just trusting and praying and putting in the work. You know, if you do the work and you're effective, then the breakthrough will come in God's time.
What break? I don't want to be like you.
I'm going to finish. I became effective at it, and that's why I'm sitting in front of you with conviction saying that this ain't personal, it's principle. And if you understand the principles to it, you too can create the outcome that you desire. That's all I'm saying.
Let me make sure I understand you well. Okay. You're saying you're not making light of your work, and neither am I. You've done tremendous, you've done exemplary accomplishments. I take my hat off again to you. You are great. Question is to see what I see and stay the way you are, because you don't see what I see. I see a lot of pain in you. I see a lot of hate. I see a lot of hate in you, that you hate your children. And I see it. Now, people say, well, you're just talking shit. Your response was great, because most people will just go out and deny it. It's easy to say what I say because we all have hate toward our children. So that's not a big prophecy. But some people hide it from themselves quite beautifully. Now, would you be okay talking to...
What was that last part?
I'm saying some people do a superb job by hiding that hate that they feel. Do you feel hate towards your children? Do you yourself feel it?
I feel love towards my children. Love.
I didn't ask about that.
That's what I feel.
But I didn't ask about love.
I heard your question. I answered your question though.
You answered a different question I didn't ask. Let's get a little bit specific here. I asked, do you feel hate? You answered a different question I didn't ask.
So I feel love towards my children. And I love them just who they are, who they choose to be, who they don't choose to be. It's all beautiful. They don't listen, they listen.
It doesn't exist like that.
At the same time, I understand who they are. So let me tell you why I say that. Because thank you for asking. Because my children are just reflections of myself. They're mirrors of me.
That's an incorrect thought.
So I don't sit there and have hate for me.
You have to sit.
I don't have hate for me. I have love for me.
You misunderstand what I don't mean it like that. I mean energy. This is not what, so the feeling that you describe, that you put say love, that's a feeling. It's created by certain emotions, a cocktail of serotonin, dopamine, we all know the story. Now, for every ounce, a milligram of love, there's an equal and opposite feeling of fear. We express it as hate. You can't love without fearing. Those two are basic Buddhistic principles, you know that. You can't love without fear. It doesn't exist. Yin yang. You can't have an electron without a proton. There's equal amount of electrons and protons in the universe. If there's one extra, there's going to be issues. It's going to become polarized. So now, clearly you're not aware of how your inner workings work, because you have as much love as you have for your children, that's as much fear you have, at least of losing that. That's natural.
So, I'm hearing your code, and I appreciate it. At the same time, your code is not my code, and I hear the level of your code. So
it's not my code, you see.
At the same time, that is definitely ready. That is definitely not what I would teach, what you just said. And that's not what I teach.
You don't know this.
I hear what you're saying.
You don't know this. Now, again, it's not my code or your code. This is the law of energy.
That I do understand. I'm the professional in this area. This is what I do. So I understand energy, and what you're saying is code. It's not energy. You're not speaking code right now. You're not speaking energy. You're speaking code.
Okay. If I spoke code, I would say, this is how or I would actually give you a source of this. What I'm saying is actually a source. It's called Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He specifically says for every ounce of love, once you start that every second of love that you feel, once you have that, like when the mother gives birth to that baby, comes out, and she starts loving, she develops equal and opposite amount of fear of having something happen to the baby, getting the baby sick, maybe laying on the baby, or baby growing up and betraying her. She doesn't run these possibilities, but it's inside of her. It's not a code. That's how we are created. We cannot have love without...
Abraham, that's code. Pause. That's code. Now, you're in my world here when I'm telling you this. I can only tell you in my world here, and I'm telling you that's code. And I don't want to go back and forth because